if you haven't heard. It's about to get crazy like Winona Ryder. Don't even think, keep it right there. Nelly said that it's gonna get hot in her. Okay, first things first.
Okay. So this first video today, your song here is about integers. Okay. We're going to learn in class tomorrow about integers, but we're going to go ahead and get you started on it today so that it makes tomorrow's work much easier. Okay? So first thing we're going to do is if you think about a number line, in elementary, you learned that a number line starts at 0 and you go over here in the positive direction. You learn about that in elementary. But what's crazy is that all they show you is that little bit of the number line. But if we zoom way out, there is more. All right? To the left of the 0, we have negative numbers. That's a -1, looks like -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. All right. And they go on forever in both directions. So I want you to number those for me. Okay? Now, on a number line, the left side of the 0 mirrors the right side. So if I folded my paper in half right here along this -1 matches my +1. They would fold over. Okay, my -3 would fold over and be right here above the 3. Okay, they mirror each other. And you can look at it, some people say it looks, you know, they look like you can make it a rainbow or something. You know, they mirror. Okay, so we have a very special word called opposites. Now, you can color this page in all you like. You can doodle on there. Opposites are two numbers. Make sure you're writing this down, okay? Two numbers that are the same distance from 0. Okay? Now what that means here is that -4 and +4 are opposites. Okay, if I start at 0 and I count 4 spaces to the right, it means 4 jumps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to end up over here at 4. But if I start at 0 and I jump in the negative direction, 4 spaces, I'm going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to be over here at -4. Okay, so this means that 4 and -4 are opposites. 6 and -6 are opposites. 10 and -10 are opposites. Okay, as long as the number sounds the same, but one is positive and one is negative, that means they're opposites. They are the same distance from 0. All right, now we have another very special word here. That's an interesting one. It is called absolute value. Okay, can you say that? Absolute value. And we write absolute value with these funny little bars, and I'll show that in just a second. But what absolute value is the distance a number is from 0 on a number line. Okay? Absolute value is a distance a number is. Now, it's a little bit different than opposites. On opposites, one is always positive and one number is always negative. The absolute value measures distance. Now, this neat little picture is here. Have you ever seen a tape measure? This is a tape measure. And when I pull that tape measure out and I measure 10 feet to my right, that number on there is going to be a +10. Now, if I turn my tape measure and measure 10 feet to the left, that number is still going to be a +10 because distance is always positive. That's messy, I'm sorry. Distance is always positive. You cannot measure a negative number of feet or inches or yards. Okay, so what this means, I'm going to zoom out just a bit for you. Okay, absolute value is written with these little bars. Okay, so you could draw those bars on there if you wanted. Okay, this says the absolute value of 4. Now, the absolute value of 4 is 4 because it is 4 spaces from 0. So if I looked at my 4 up here on the number line and said, how far is it from 0? 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So the absolute value is 4. What is the absolute value of negative 6? Well, if I think about my number line here, I put a negative 6 out this way. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. But remember, we can't measure distance with a negative. So the absolute value of negative 6 is 6. Okay, remember, distance is positive. Okay, the absolute value of 2 and 5/10. So that's over here between 2 and 3. Right where 2 1/2 would be. Well, 1, 2, and 1/2 spaces. So we read this and we would say the absolute value of 2 and 5/10 is 2 and 5/10. So while it looks like the answer is always positive, there are a couple of times that it would be a little different, and I'll show you those. Okay, the absolute value of negative 1/4. Okay, so that's 1/4 of a space in the negative direction. So negative 1/4 is only 1/4 of a space away from 0. So you notice that's positive, 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 and positive. Absolute value measures distance, and distance is positive. Now, there are times when you will have a negative, and that's what this one is. Okay, this, when the negative is on the outside, says the opposites of the absolute value of 3. I'm going to write that down for you. Okay, the opposite, and I'm going to draw it to that one, of the absolute value of 3. So the absolute value of 3 is 3 because it's 3 spaces from 0. But the opposite of 3, we learned on the top of the page, is negative 3. I know it's confusing. We're going to do more of this in class tomorrow. But I want you to get the notes part down so we can come in and answer questions as a group, okay? This one goes one step farther. This one says the opposites of the absolute value of negative 7, right? When the one on the outside here says opposites. So the opposites, when you see an opposite on there, you know it's going to be a negative, okay? The opposite of the absolute value of negative 7. So we're going to take one piece of this at a time. What is the absolute value of negative 7? That means how far is negative 7 from 0 on a number line? Well, it's 7 spaces. So what's the opposite of 7? Negative 7. Okay? So I want you to flip your paper over to the back. Okay, this is page 7 right now. I want you to flip it over to the back. And I want you to do the 5 easiest problems on your paper. And then I want you to circle the 3 most difficult that we can help you with in class. Okay? Answer the 5 easiest and circle the 3 that are most challenging for you. And on that side of the page, there are 6 that say opposites on the top, a couple of number lines, and some absolute value at the bottom. So do the 5 easiest and circle the 3 that are most challenging, okay? Have a great night.